a fall from what should have led to certain death, a reunion shrouded in coincidence, and a man that came back from the dead 24 times in one day. Are these incredible stories true, or did we make them up simply to make you question reality? Join us as we find out what's fact and fiction. The line that divides the factual from the unreal has long since blurred. The tales we once thought fantastical, now implanted as true. To decipher verity from the imagined, you must break from the ordinary and consider a universe where the outlandish prevails. Can you expand your mind to see beyond our perceived reality? Can you decide what's fact or fiction? With so many incredible skyscrapers, window cleaning is a big business in New York City. The Tourist brothers were known for being thorough, professional, and above all, careful. But that didn't help them the morning they both fell 47 floors to the icy ground below. It was a freezing cold morning on that fateful day in December 2009. But Alejandro Torres and his brother Edgar were used to New York's wintry climate, having grown up in the icy south of Chile. The two brothers, who were employed as window cleaners, chatted as they rode the elevator up to the top of the 47-story solo tower on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. With years of experience between them, this was a routine job that they both enjoyed doing. But there was to be nothing routine about this particular day. As the two brothers stepped off the side of the building and onto the platform, the cables that hold it in place slipped and sent the left side falling down. Edgar was on that side of the platform, and Alejandro could only watch as his brother fell screaming to his death. Alejandro was clinging to the right side of the platform, but could feel the remaining cables struggling to keep a hold of their cargo. In the seconds before it gave way, he had just enough time to accept his fate and say a prayer. Alejandro fell more than 150 meters to the solid ground below, and when paramedics arrived on the scene, they expected him to be in pieces. Somehow, though, Alejandro was very much alive. Incredibly, he was found squatting on the ground, trying to stand up. He was rushed to the hospital with several broken bones and serious internal injuries, and was placed in an induced coma. His shattered body endured several surgeries, including his brain, to reduce swelling. Miraculously, Alejandro woke up 3 weeks later on Christmas Day with his wife by his side, and went on to make a full recovery. You have a 50% chance of surviving a fall from 4 stories, and only a 10% chance at 7 stories. The odds of surviving a fall from 47 stories? Slim to none. And is it possible that 3 weeks after the accident, he woke up with no lasting physical or mental disabilities? We'll let you know in the reveal shortly. But for now, let us know what you think in the on-screen poll and in the comments section below. Up next is a tale of sibling reunion that's full of coincidences. Siblings Jane and Frederick had always been close as children. Their happy home in Surrey, England was filled with laughter, and the two spent all their time together. With only a year's age gap between them, people always commented that they were like twins. In their 20s, they were still close. And when Frederick started to travel with his work, Jane missed him terribly. He continued to travel, and sadly, the pair lost touch over time. Jane married, had a son, and moved to a village close to the family home, not knowing where in the world her brother was. She tried her best to get on with her life, but there was always the hole in her heart that losing her brother had left. Over the years, she tried countless times to track him down, but always came up empty-handed. It had been 60 years since the brother and sister had last seen each other. But little did Jane know that Frederick had also spent those years searching for her. He had no idea how to contact her, as the only address he had was that of their family home, but several other families had lived there since then. Frederick was 87 when he decided to have one last try at finding his elder sister. His grandchildren had seen a local ancestry event advertised online and told Frederick to go along and see what he could find out. So he did. At first, it seemed like a waste of time, and after an hour had passed, Frederick decided to go home. Just then, he heard someone refer to someone with the surname Keenan. This sparked a memory for Frederick, as he'd heard rumors years ago that Jane had married someone with that surname. He asked the person who they were referring to, and after a while, it became clear that they were talking about Jane's sister-in-law, who was planning to come to the event to help track down her mother-in-law's long-lost brother. A meeting was set for the following day, and both Jane and Frederick cried tears of joy when they set eyes on each other for the first time in 60 years. They soon realized that for all those years, they had been living just 4 miles apart while frantically searching for each other. 87-year-old Frederick and 88-year-old Jane now speak on the phone every day to make sure they don't lose contact again. How is it possible that such tight-knit siblings somehow lost touch of each other? And how did they live so close to each other without crossing paths at some point? With both of them searching so hard, why did it take them 60 years to reunite? Do you think this really happened, or is it the product of our imaginations? Vote now as we prepare to tell you our third and final story. It was warm as always in Adelaide, Australia, when Dad of 3, Ralph Patrick, headed off to spend his day golfing with friends. It was a monthly tradition that the group had enjoyed for decades since meeting in college. Ralph was 53 and in great shape, and as well as playing golf, he was a keen hiker and loved swimming to keep fit and healthy. The day started off as always, and the 5 men made their way around the course, laughing and joking as they went. They were walking to the 3rd hole when Ralph started feeling a little unwell, but he thought nothing of it and didn't mention it to his friends. By the 4th hole, he knew that there was something wrong, and the pain in his chest was starting to feel serious. Ralph could only call the name of one of his friends before dropping to the ground and quickly falling unconscious. One of his friends called an ambulance, while another, a trained nurse, started CPR. He was still unconscious when the emergency services arrived, but they managed to get his heart started again and rushed him to the hospital. On the way there, Ralph suffered a further 2 attacks and was immediately rushed into the emergency room to be operated on. His family rushed to the hospital and were told that he'd now had 6 heart attacks. They were told that it's very unlikely that he would survive another one and to prepare for the worst, and that they settled round his bed to say their emotional goodbyes. When the 7th heart attack took hold of Ralph's weakening body, everyone braced themselves for the end. But somehow, he was resuscitated again. He was rushed away again for more surgery, and doctors warned his family that even if he survived, he would most likely have lasting brain damage due to his heart stopping so often. Ralph had a total of 24 heart attacks in 24 hours. But the next day, his heart settled back into a regular rhythm, and his health began to rapidly improve. He was discharged from the hospital less than 2 weeks later, leaving doctors astonished that he'd survived such an ordeal. Surviving a heart attack isn't that rare of an occurrence, and people have survived multiple episodes throughout their lives. But 24 in a single day? Then again, maybe none of this really happened, right? Let us know what your thoughts are in the polls and comment section right now, while we get ready for the best part, the reveal. Are you ready to find out if you can decipher between fact or fiction? Let's look back at tonight's 3 stories and find out which were born from reality and which were fabrications of the imagination. First, we're heading back to the Big Apple, 47 stories up. Did Alejandro really survive the horror fall that killed his baby brother? Well, yes, he did. Nobody knows how Alcides of Ecuador survived his 2007 fall, but theories range from him surfing down on the platform to him colliding with another building to slow down his fall. Whatever it was that he did, his survival is one of the most incredible of its kind. Next, we're heading to England to the long-lost siblings and their 60-year search. Could they really have lost track of each other for all those years? They certainly did. George Colwick and Lucy Heenan of Birmingham reunited in 2008 after losing touch in the 1940s and have been in touch ever since. Finally, we head to Australia to check in on Ralph Patrick. Can any human heart be restarted 24 times in a single day? Or is this an impossible medical feat? This tale is, in fact, fiction. Though the events in our story were entirely made up, it's not impossible or even out of the ordinary. In December of 2005, Leslie Hackwell suffered 32 heart attacks in a mere 20 minutes. How well did you do in tonight's video? Did you look past the deception of our world and define the off-blurred line that struggles to separate lies from the truth? Let us know in the comment section below. And should you find the urge to test your perceptions again, be sure to subscribe and join us next time when we ask you to decide what's fact or fiction.